First of all, I want to apologize for my English difficulties, and I would like to thank the organizers for this opportunity, and also thank to Madeline for having been so helpful. The title of my presentation is actually a question: is the national sanitation law in Brazil an opportunity lost? This presentation contextualizes the experience gained by supporting municipalities in drafting the sanitation plans required by Law 11445, known as the Brazilian Law of Sanitation. 2 decades ago, Brazil didn't have a framework for the basic sanitation sector. There was considerable pressure from World Bank and International Monetary Fund to the privatization of public services. These measures ultimately made an existing crisis in the public sector worse by proposing a model based on private enterprises. Thus, in the 10 last years, a dispute began between the public and private models to provide the water and sewage services. The municipalities lost their autonomy and the technical and financial capacity to undertake projects. In this presentation, I will use some figures to facilitate the understanding of contents of my talk. On January 5, 2007, a milestone was set in the history of sanitation in Brazil when Federal Law 11445 was enacted, instituting the National Sanitation Policy. With the National Sanitation Policy, municipal sanitation plans become a strategic planning tool to integrate sanitation, ensure financial sustainability, and rescue the public technical capacity to design, manage, operate, and monitor services. According to this law, it is the holder of that services, the municipalities, that should define how the services will be provided directly or by delegation or concession, as well as a form of regulation and social control. The search for the universal provision of the population with sanitation services goes through new arrangements for its management. Both the pressure put on municipalities by state-owned enterprises or by groups of private companies produce various conflicts. The private sector seeks to do business, often fostering corruption and legal debates that affect the population. For instance, after 2007, in some municipalities, water and sewage services were privatized. Unlike others, where the aim to privatize was reversed by mobilizing its population. Water supply and sanitation diagnosis point to challenges that are common to most municipalities in Brazil and in developing countries of the Southern Hemisphere. Some problems related to challenges are the absence of local authorities in decision-making on priorities, on what to do and where to perform the interventions in water supply and sanitation, the inexistence of financial sustainability of sanitation services, the lack of integrated sanitation planning, and the power and domination of public-state sanitation companies, considering that he who has the gold makes the rule. In order to deal with challenges in the field of basic sanitation, it will be necessary to rediscuss values and seek a new institutional arrangement in which cooperation among public entities can result in solutions or improvements to the reported problems. It is recommended that cooperation among public, municipal, state, and federal entities be shaped considering a few principles and values which are integration between related areas, obeying local autonomy, public management with quality and with social control, and the municipalities should share responsibility and work together with other municipalities. As opposed to the model of private provision of the water supply services, the public sector must learn to cooperate and allow the participation of several actors, mainly those actors who pay and financially support the sanitation services. It is in this scenario that universities and entities as municipal service projects with installed intelligence for training and encouraging cooperation and sharing responsibilities play a decisive role. Often, the public sector is not very resilient to problems presented by sanitation and becomes hostage to market logic and the logic of public and private enterprises working in this sector. When delegated the provision of water and sewage services to a public company, the municipalities that are currently proposing an innovative public model will find it very difficult to do so. In this case, the public company continues to provide a service according to its principles and conditions. Thus, a great opportunity is missed to create new institutional arrangements. Cooperation is weak, and the quality of services and their regulation are handled with an authoritarian bias and without any risks to the service provider. Under these circumstances, the intended autonomy of the municipalities to decide how, where, and for those provide water and sewage services becomes secondary, to the detriment of a centralized, authoritarian, or old-fashioned model. The public company in the state of South Rio Grande, Brazil, which is a public company working in the field of sanitation since the beginning of the 70s, when proposing associated management to provide the water and sewage services, doesn't allow the municipalities that wish to operate the sewage services to do so. On the other hand, this public company is opening up the participation of private sanitary sewage companies through public-private partnership. This way of thinking and acting in the political and economic milieu is represented by strong and powerful voices as representative of public operators in VOPA as a Brazilian public company Sabesp. Thus, an opportunity is missed to strengthen public and shared management. Moving on, my presentation also intends to propose alternatives to bring back the autonomy and sovereignty of municipalities, allowing them to make their own decisions regarding needs in sanitation. Here, we advocate better quality in public management, financial sustainability, the integration of basic sanitation services, including water, sewage, drainage, and solid waste services. The report on the successful experience developed in the municipality of Ijuí in managing the basic sanitation services shows that sharing responsibilities and cooperation among the federated entities will allow achieving universal provision of the water and sewage system. In this municipality, with the approval of a municipal fund for sharing management, it's very important, the universalization of sewage and water supply are increasingly possible. The municipal sanitation plan of Ijuí rejected public-private partnership and created a local public autarky, bringing back municipal know-how, the overseeing of integration of sanitation and placing it again in public hands, promoting the integration of sanitation services. This model, whose enhancement process is continuous, has the great merit of strengthening the public management of the basic sanitation services, as opposed to the impetuous and tempting proposal that is being presented by the private sector to the municipal measures in order to hand over the provision of the water and sewage services to private enterprise. To close, I would like to put an opinion and make recommendations. It seeks to encourage self-management of the basic sanitation services and their shared management through cooperation. The institutional arrangement in the modality of associated management may mean advances in the qualification of the decision-making process and in community participation, and also be an important alternative to ensure the financial resources needed to universalize the basic sanitation services. Management of sanitation is not a technical problem, but a political and a governance problem. It is necessary to bring back values such as transparency, participation, solidarity, commitment, ethics, and accountability. These small steps taken demonstrate that with public cooperation it is possible to create new forms of governance targeting policy on local and regional levels. What brings water-related actors together is when the benefits from cooperation become apparent. In order for that to happen, cooperation regimes, formal or informal, are important so that states and water and sanitation-related actors are engaged in a long-term process of dialogue, information exchange, and benefit and risk sharing. We need to reach a common language of understanding for the numerous water and sanitation-related actors to make the result possible. And the participation planning, the development of knowledge-sharing networks, decision support tools, and the public funding need improvements. The water crisis and the lack of sanitation make important that governments use public spending on the related infrastructure. Despite some achievements, we could be advancing much more in the quality of management of public water and sanitation services. This can only be made possible by debating ideas and sharing experience. Thank you. I'm sorry.